During the late 50s and 60s, a new generation of young people were starting to invest in suits and scooters. Modernists, or now referred to as mods, were one of the most recognisable subcultures in 1960s Britain, with a focus on what they looked like and the music they listened to.
How did you become a mod originally?
Well, you've got to be aware that before I was a mod, teenagers just dressed like their parents, and up until then mum had made your clothes or you made your own clothes. We all knitted, we all did sewing in those days. So suddenly we're getting shops with stylish clothes, and everyone tried to outdo each other. And the boys, we had Carnaby Street, the smarter the suit, the sharper you were, whether you were mentally, but you looked it. As long as you looked it, it didn't matter.
So what sort of music did you listen to?
Well, there were two kinds of music really, and it was all new. The rockers had rock and roll, which we all thought was a bit dirty, but we listened to rhythm and blues, and we went to the rhythm and blues clubs, and that American music then went into the black music, so a lot of ska, which you now call reggae. We called it ska.
In 1976, one group stood out from the rest. The Jam. Three young men walked onto a stage in mohair suits and slim ties. They carried on to The Top of the Pops, which then kick-started the first revival.
So how did you become a mod?
Well, it was back in 1983. It was a big mod revival. But I just saw these scooters one day and think, oh, I'm going to have a bit of that. And then Quadrophenia. You've got to watch Quadrophenia. Once you see Quadrophenia, you're hooked.
What sort of clothes did you wear?
Well, 80s. I was still at school. I was about 15 I think it was. I had black stay press, red, white and blue bowling shoes, shirts, boating blazers, had a very nice boating blazer, and of course your parka. Glad your parka.
What sort of music did you listen to?
Back then, it was either the Jam, the Who, you had Secret Affair, liked a bit of Northern Soul, and of course Madness, the Specials, the Selector. All the ska bands in the 80s, that was a real big thing in the 80s. Yeah, that's about it.
The mod movement continues to this day, just over 50 years later, sometimes with new influences, which is what it was originally about, being modern.
How did you discover this?
So when I was a child, I'd always been, spoken about, because obviously I live in Margate. I was told about all the mods that used to come down in the 60s. And as I got a little bit older, I thought I'd look into it, look what they dressed like, look what they actually done. And then I saw it and I thought, I'll just go for it.
What sort of music did you listen to?
The sort of music I listen to ranges from the 60s to the 90s, and I start off in the 60s. Listen to The Who, The Kinks, all the classic mod kind of genre music. And then I listen to two-tone ska, i.e. Madness, The Specials, that's in the 70s and 80s range. And it goes up to the 90s, and that's where my music line cuts off. So I listen to Oasis, Blur, Ocean Colour Scene.
Margate to this day still has echoes of the modernist movement, most notably the shop Rat Race, which specialises in the look and the different phases it's been through over the years.
Would you like another mainstream revival?
I think we should do. I think everyone should have a go being a mod. The clothes, the scooters, everyone should have a go. From 12 years upwards, everyone should have a go. It'd be good if there was a big mod revival again. Get youngsters more into it. It'd be good.
Definitely not, and that's because I take pride in what I wear. I don't want to look like everyone else walking down the street. I like to be that 1 in 1,000, and when I do see that other person, 1 in 1,000, it's a great feeling, they're dressed like me and stuff like that. But I don't want everyone else dressed like me, if that makes sense. I just want a small subculture like what we are, dressed as we are.
Well, I think quite honestly there is a revival at the moment, and the music we listened to all those years ago, 40 years ago or so, the kids today are still listening to now. Just the singers are just slightly more grey-haired.